Hello, good afternoon and welcome to today's vlog for Wednesday, what are we? 19th, yes, 19th of August. Hope everybody is well. I spoke yesterday, I was talking about patience and just waiting out for the right job, and I did paraphrase it by saying it would probably all go horribly wrong today, and yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it has, but well, not. Yeah, it has and it hasn't. So anyway, I will talk about that later. One of the things of today was communication and common sense on the job I did earlier, and it sort of reminded me. I was going to tell a little story, and this is going back quite a long time ago, probably near enough 40 years, late 80s, when I was a transport manager, and it finished up with a driver shouting and swearing at his transport manager, which was me, the transport manager, which was me, shouting and swearing at the customer, and the customer shouting and swearing at the warehouse manager, who was also then shouting and swearing at the driver. And it all come down really to a bit of common sense and a lack of communication. Now, you've got to bear in mind, we're talking about the late 80s. So I've just missed my turn off going round the roundabout again. Yeah, talking about the late 80s, and there was of course no mobile phones, no internet, no sat navs, no tracking, anything like that. So the pretext to this story was I'm running a transport operation. We had 8 tractor units, 6 were doing European, and the other 2 were just doing the UK side of it, delivering loads and collecting loads, and we just let the European drivers do the European bits. So I think we had about 24, 25 trailers at the time, and we had some subcontractors, owner drivers that worked for us on a regular basis doing UK stuff and the European. So this particular story, the driver, we did mainly Italy, Switzerland, a bit of Spain, a bit of France, a bit of Germany, a bit of Austria, but this particular one was a job from Italy. And it was a job that we did every week for a major high street retailer, and the load came from Florence in Italy. It was loaded at 4, it was booked every week at 4 o'clock on a Thursday. So the way it always sort of used to work for us, driver would leave London on a Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, ship out of Dover, get down to Milan for Tuesday lunchtime, clear customs, which we had to do in those days, then go and get the groupage off Tuesday evening, and then perhaps go and do 1 or 2 deliveries Wednesday morning, have 24 hours off, and then restart on Thursday with this job back from Florence. So the driver had rang me on the Wednesday morning when he was empty, and I told him, yeah, you're doing the job out of Florence, which he had done many times, so didn't need any details. About 5 minutes after I put the phone down, the customer rang. Now, with this load, it always used to arrive back in the UK on Sunday evening, and delivery was always to Nottingham at 10 o'clock on Tuesday morning. It was a regular booking. So the European driver would come back up to the yard on Sunday evening, drop the trailer off, he would either go home or go back out again, depending on what he was doing. And then on Monday evening, or further, very, very early hours of Tuesday morning, one of the UK drivers would take the trailer up to Nottingham and deliver the load. So 5 minutes after the driver rang me on the Wednesday and I confirmed to him what he was doing, the customer rang me and said, we just need a slight change on delivery. We're desperate for these goods. Can we change the delivery from 10 o'clock Tuesday to 10 o'clock on Monday? Now, it was a bit of a pain, but the customer is always right. So I said, yes, we will somehow make it work. And they was aware of how we did it, so there wasn't any secrets or any thing underhand, but I said we will make it work some way or the other. We will change the driver over in the yard Sunday evening, or we will get the driver to take it up to Nottingham. So because there's no mobile phones in those days, I couldn't do anything with the driver until he rang me, and all the European drivers were under instructions to ring the office on a Saturday between 7 AM and 1 PM, just to let us know roughly where they were in the world. when they was expecting it at Dover, so we could plan their work for the next week and plan the deliveries as required by all our customers. So on the Saturday, I think it was about 12 o'clock, the driver rang in. He was halfway up from France as per normal, and I gave him the very, very good news that because of a change of delivery, I needed him to go straight from Dover to Nottingham for 10 o'clock on Monday morning. Let's just say he wasn't best pleased because it slightly affected his earnings for the following week, because he could no longer then do another Italy. It was going to have to be a France or Switzerland, which affects his wages. But I said to him, look, do this delivery for me and I will make your money up. Don't worry, that's my problem. I'll sort that for you. So all good. So he said, okay, no problem. I will be in Nottingham for 10 o'clock on Monday morning, providing there's no delays on the boat or with customs. So what used to happen, the vehicle would arrive in Dover on Sunday afternoon. We used to have to clear customs in Dover, and then once it's cleared, it could take anything about an hour, it could take a bit longer, but this was a regular job, so it shouldn't take more than about an hour, and the driver could sort out his hours and get to Nottingham. Now again, I've got no contact with the driver, so on Sunday about 2 o'clock I checked with Townsend Tourison, who were the ferry operators of the day, along with Sealink. The vehicle hadn't been booked in Calais, was nowhere to be seen. I rang again at 7 o'clock and was told that he was on the 4 o'clock sailing, which arrived in sometime around about well, 5 o'clock, I think it was, 5:15, can't remember, a long time ago. So he was in the process of clearing customs. The next thing I could do was 7 o'clock on Monday morning when I got to the office. First thing was to check the trailer had been cleared, which it had been. It had been cleared at about 6:30 on Sunday evening. I've got no idea where the driver is, but I take it that he's on his way to Nottingham. The customer rang me at 10 minutes past 7 to double check that the vehicle was on its way to Nottingham, and I explained, of course, that I have no idea. The last time I spoke to the driver was Saturday, but the trailer had been cleared and we guess he's probably on his way to themselves. The next phone call I got was about 10:05 from the driver, and the driver was effing and jeffing down the phone at me because he'd come in, he'd done the absolute minimum he could on his rest period and drove as best as he could up the M1. Due to an accident on the M1, he'd been slightly delayed and he arrived at the delivery point at 2 minutes past 10. 2 minutes late. The security refused to let him in the building because he was late for his booking. So the driver is effing and jeffing at me, and he said, I've left the lorry outside the gate and walked down the road to a payphone. He said, I'm not moving the effing lorry. I rang the customer. I was quite irate. I don't think I was effing and jeffing at the time, but I was probably fairly close to it, bearing in mind what the driver had done and what we had done to make sure everything was organised. The customer said, give me 5 minutes, I'll ring you back. She rang her warehouse manager, who point blankly apparently refused to unload it because the vehicle was late. And so this went on for about 20 minutes with everyone swearing at each other. It sorted itself out because the driver, our driver, said he wasn't moving and completely blocked the gate. No vehicles, even cars or lorries, could get in, which was causing some problems inside the premises and was causing some problems out on the road. Eventually, I think it was about 11:15, something like that, it finally got sorted and they let our vehicle in and it got offloaded. So it was all well at the end of the day. But a lack of communication really from the office to the warehouse, how important this load was, and maybe from the warehouse or again the office to security that this was important and it needed to be offloaded at whatever time it arrived. Not the funniest, not the greatest story in the world, but just one purely of transport, how frustrating it was for the driver who did everything. And it is an old slap. Back in the day, the vehicles in the 80s weren't as quick and as good as the vehicles are today. He done his bit, we done our bit. You know, just rubbish communication and rubbish common sense, to be honest. Driver's 2 minutes late from Italy, let him in the gate. But I'm sure even today we all have these problems with security guards, warehouse staff, and other bits and pieces. So that leads on to today for me. It was quite quiet yesterday afternoon. There wasn't a lot of work about. I did take a job fairly late in the day from Clacton-on-Sea going to Peterborough. Large van. It was 112 miles. I put a price of £140 on it. £1.25 a mile, I think that equates at, which is okay-ish. The benefit for me, it's a fairly regular shipper, and they're brilliant on payment. That will be paid by Friday for me. He'll pay me straight away. So 8:30 collection. I've been there before. Got there at 8 o'clock. The staff are having a staff meeting out in the yard. So I just sat in the van. That broke up at about 20 past 8. Now I was told I was picking up one pallet, 3.1 metres long, 0.6 metres wide and about 0.4 metres high. Anyway, when the goods finally arrived on a forklift, they weren't on a pallet. They just basically had, it was sort of sheet metal, and it had 2 blocks of wood sitting underneath it. So they needed 2 forklifts to put it on, one to hold it from the side and the other one to basically lift it up and push it in. And I'm slightly at fault here because I did say to the guys, look, I thought it was going to be a pallet. Can we not put a normal pallet at the end to make it easier to get it in, and more importantly make it easier to get it out? And they didn't say, oh, we haven't got any pallets here, to be honest, which I couldn't see any, so they were probably right. Anyway, it got in, and this is where I made an error really. I was thinking already this is going to be a problem getting this out, and I should have rang the shipper and said to him, we could well have a problem getting this out, but I didn't. I thought, okay, some way we'll work it out, and maybe a push we could handle. But then it was 9 sheets of metal and they were weighing 100 kilos each, so when I got the paperwork and saw that one wasn't really going to happen. But anyway, left the site at 8:40. My sat nav gave me 2 options. I could either go up the A12 to Ipswich, A14 all the way to junction 13 of the A14, then up. Oh yeah, it wasn't going to Peter, it was going to a place called Undell, O-U-N-D-L-E, which isn't really Peterborough, but again, it's one of the joys of the CX that your final destination doesn't actually match the destination that's put on the job offer. But the mileage was correct, it's just, it wasn't Peterborough. They probably could have put in Undell or whoever it is, how you pronounce it. Anyway, yeah, so there's one way I could go. The other way was back down the A12 and go 120 across to the M11, and that way I tossed the coin, going to go with the A12 A14, and of course that became an error because there was an accident on the A14 and I lost about 35 minutes. But we finally arrived at 11:25, and of course they really struggled to get it off. They got 2 forklifts. They tried dragging a bit from the back, didn't really work. They put a forklift through the side doors to try and nudge it along, couldn't really work. The manager of the warehouse came out, was tutting and cussing and swearing, and said, really, like, if this ever happens again, we've got to refuse this. I'm sympathetic to them. To be fair, they found some really, really big heavy straps and managed to put that round the load. And with, to be fair, a great bit of skill from the forklift driver, he got it out. And we was done off site by 12 o'clock. I did ring the shipper, I did explain to him, I did apologise sort of as well, saying I really should have rung you at the start, so if there's any complaints from the delivery zone, delivery company, this is what happened. I did actually video the offloading. I've got an 8-minute video of the offloading, but he didn't want to see that. But he did pay me another £15 for the aggravation. Didn't have to, I didn't ask for it. He said, no, I'll give you that. He said, I'll stick it on there, Bill. And we both agreed, really, it either should have been on a long pallet or 2 pallets bolted together, or even better, the job should have gone on a 3.5 ton curtain sider where it could have been loaded through the side. Again, maybe a little bit of lack of communication. The warehouse there, I should have told the girls in the office the way it's packed, rather than maybe the girls in the office just assuming it was on a pallet. Maybe I should have done a bit more. Yeah, anyway, but it's all done. But again, another one, communication and a bit of common sense. Thinking if this is going to go on a normal large van, it's going to be a problem getting it on and getting it off. But anyway, that was that. I had some lunch where I was at the marina in Undle, very nice. Stayed there till 12:30. I left, decided to go to Cambridge Services and see if I could pick anything up from there. There's been work around, but it's all been going up to Scotland. It's been going to the north, going down to Heathrow Airport, a couple jobs into London. None of them really, to be honest, which were any use to me. I've given it till 3:15 and I'm going to call it a day. I'll have a look, there might be a little something comes up in Ipswich. So I finished up one job, £155. It's just short of my target, but I've had 2 decent days, so I'll take it. I'll make my way home. I'll be home for about just before 5 o'clock probably. Yep, sorry, rambled on today, do apologise about that, but there you go, more entertainment for your money. Right, we'll talk again tomorrow. All the best now. Cheers, Paul.